My name is Cadet Robert Novak, 3rd class, and I will be detailing the exchange and cleaning procedure for the Maersk Detroit's port side main sea strainer made by the engineering crew members on September 26, 2022. Prior to the operation, a briefing should be conducted in the engine control room with all involved parties to discuss the proper working procedure, personal protective equipment required, and the risks involved in completing the job. This step is necessary to ensure the safety of working crew members and efficiency in completing the job. After the briefing, the required tools and equipment for the job should be gathered by the sea strainer. This equipment includes, but is not limited to, an impact gun with proper fitting socket, PB blaster, crescent wrenches, anti-seize, a pipe wrench, a sea strainer cover holding receptacle, chain falls, slings, and shackles. The sea strainer not receiving maintenance, in this case the starboard sea strainer, should have its suction and discharge butterfly valves opened to the main seawater cooling system to ensure seawater flow and proper machinery operation. PB blaster, an alternative to WD-40, may then be applied to the sea strainer cover's nuts and bolts to allow for easy removal during the operation. The railings surrounding the main sea strainer may then be removed to allow for easy access for the engineering crew members during the operation. The sea strainer being operated on may then be isolated by closing the suction and discharge butterfly valves via the 2 hand wheels shown. This is necessary in order to stop any seawater flow during the operation. The operating engineer may use the indicator shown on both the suction and discharge valves to know whether they are open or closed during isolation. Once the sea strainer has been properly isolated, a vent valve on the sea strainer cover may then be opened to relieve any excess water pressure and to limit seawater spillage into the machinery bilge space. The sea strainer's wiring of sacrificial anodes and marine growth prevention system should be disconnected to prevent electrocution and any possible damage during maintenance. Using an impact gun and proper fitting socket, every other bolt and nut from the sea strainer cover may be removed to ensure an even distribution of pressure relief on the cover. The remaining bolts and nuts securing the strainer cover may then be removed. A primary chainfall may be set up above the strainer cover, as slings and shackles are used to secure the strainer cover to the chainfall. The safe working loads of all the lifting equipment should be ensured that they are within tolerance to ensure that no damage occurs to the equipment or the cover itself. For this operation, secondary chainfalls were placed behind the primary chainfall to help carry the strainer cover to its proper holding receptacle. While carefully lifting the strainer cover, it can be moved between the secondary chainfalls until it can be safely lowered onto the sea strainer cover holding receptacle. Ensure proper clearance when moving the strainer cover to avoid any possible damage to the sacrificial anodes seen below the cover. A sling may be attached to the old sea strainer so that it can be removed via the primary chainfall and placed onto a cart so it can be safely wheeled away. As the old sea strainer is wheeled away into a safe cleaning area, the new sea strainer may be placed onto the cart and wheeled into the working area for replacement. Using a sling in the primary chainfall, the new sea strainer may be lifted off the cart and safely lowered into place. Ensure the suction side of the sea strainer faces the suction side of the main seawater pipe, and ensure the holding bar on top of the sea strainer is perpendicular with the main seawater pipe. Using the same method as before with the secondary chainfalls, the strainer cover may be lifted off of the holding receptacle and transferred to the primary chainfall to be safely lowered onto the new sea strainer. Again, ensure proper clearance when moving the strainer cover to avoid any possible damage to the strainer cover itself, sacrificial anodes, or any electrical wiring. The strainer cover should then be lowered and aligned on the base in a manner such that the nuts and bolts can easily be screwed back in. Prior to securing the strainer cover, the bolts should be layered with a thin coat of anti-seize to prevent any corrosion or rust in the future. When first securing the strainer cover, an impact gun with a proper fitting socket can be used to tighten nuts and bolts in an alternating fashion in order to evenly distribute the pressure across the cover. Caution should be used whenever tightening a nut with an impact gun, as over-torquing can cause damage to the bolt or the cover. To mitigate this risk, crescent wrenches should be used whenever finalizing the tightening on the nuts. The remaining nuts and bolts may then be tightened to properly secure the cover. Afterwards, the wiring to the sacrificial anodes and marine growth prevention system may be safely placed back into service. After the operation has been complete, the railings may be placed back around the sea strainer and secured to allow for a safe barrier around the sea strainer. The strainer that just received operation may be de-isolated by opening its suction and discharge valves, while the standby strainer, or the starboard strainer in this case, may have its suction and discharge valves closed. Prior to cleaning a dirty sea strainer, proper working procedure and personal protective equipment should be used by the operating engine crew member. In this case, a needle gun with compressed air was used to clean the dirty sea strainer, and personal protective equipment involved knit gloves, a dust mask, and safety glasses. Prior to cleaning a sea strainer, a dirty sea strainer should look similar to this. After cleaning, the sea strainer should be see-through and look similar to this. A needle gun can be used to clean the debris within the strainer as shown in this video. And finally, here is a time lapse of the process of cleaning a sea strainer. Note that a trash bag was used to catch any flying debris and make the sweeping process of the debris easier.